In the heart of downtown Crestwood, a bustling city known for its gleaming skyscrapers and thriving corporate scene, an unassuming apartment complex became the center of a chilling crime that shook the community. On a crisp autumn evening in late October, emergency responders were called to Unit 302 after receiving a frantic 911 call. Inside, they found the lifeless body of Benjamin Cole, a 45-year-old high-powered executive at Summit Enterprises, lying in a pool of blood. Nearby, his assistant, Anna Sinclair, just 26 years old, sat trembling, her hands shaking as she tried to explain what had happened. What initially appeared to be a tragic home invasion quickly unraveled into something far more sinister. Police uncovered whispers of a hidden affair, layers of deception, and a relationship riddled with manipulation and betrayal. As investigators delved deeper, they discovered a tangled web connecting Benjamin's ambitious rise to the top and Anna's desperate attempts to break free from his grasp. The truth behind what happened in Unit 302 that night would reveal a story of passion, power, and ultimately, murder. How did a promising young woman's relationship with her boss lead to such a deadly conclusion? And what secrets were uncovered that turned a quiet evening into a tragedy? This is the story of Anna Sinclair, Benjamin Cole, and the scandal that ended in bloodshed. The story begins in Crestwood, a bustling metropolis known for its thriving corporate world and fast-paced lifestyle. Among its towering skyscrapers stood the headquarters of Summit Enterprises, a prominent financial firm that represented the height of ambition and success in the city. At the center of this company's operations was Benjamin Cole, a charismatic and shrewd executive who had climbed the corporate ladder with ruthless efficiency. Benjamin Cole, 45, was a man who thrived on power. Tall, impeccably dressed, and always exuding an air of authority, he was admired by his peers and feared by his subordinates. Behind closed doors, Benjamin was known for his sharp tongue and an unrelenting demand for excellence. His charm and charisma masked a manipulative streak that often left those around him questioning where they stood. Among Benjamin's team was Anna Sinclair, a 26-year-old executive assistant who had joined Summit Enterprises just a year earlier. Anna was bright, ambitious, and eager to prove herself in the competitive corporate world. With her striking green eyes, dark chestnut hair, and an approachable demeanor, she quickly became a favorite among her colleagues. But beneath her confident exterior, Anna carried the weight of financial struggles and a desire to escape her small-town roots. When Anna was assigned to work directly with Benjamin, she saw it as a career-defining opportunity. At first, their relationship appeared strictly professional. Benjamin admired Anna's efficiency and poise, while Anna valued the mentorship of a man who seemed to have it all. Over time, however, their interactions grew more personal. Late nights at the office turned into private dinners, and professional boundaries blurred. Colleagues began to whisper about their closeness, though both vehemently denied anything beyond a working relationship. To the outside world, Anna and Benjamin had embarked on a secret affair. For Anna, it was a complicated mix of attraction, ambition, and a desire to feel valued. For Benjamin, it was another conquest in a life filled with them. But as their relationship deepened, so did the tension. Benjamin's controlling nature and Anna's growing discomfort created an unsteady foundation that would eventually collapse under its own weight. By October 2023, their affair had become a source of stress and fear for Anna. Friends noticed her growing anxiety, though she never disclosed the full extent of her relationship with Benjamin. Meanwhile, Benjamin's professional life showed no signs of trouble. To the outside world, he remained the confident, untouchable executive at the helm of Summit Enterprises. But within the walls of his upscale apartment in Unit 302, the dynamic between Benjamin and Anna was anything but stable. What started as a seemingly consensual affair was unraveling into a dangerous and volatile connection. And as the days ticked closer to that fateful October evening, the tension between them grew to a breaking point that neither could escape. It was the evening of October 23rd, 2023, when the chain of events that would lead to tragedy began to unfold. At 8:47 p.m., a neighbor in the upscale Riverview Apartments complex called 911 to report loud shouting and crashing sounds coming from Unit 302. The neighbor described the disturbance as unusual, noting that the occupants were typically quiet. Inside the unit, a heated argument between Benjamin Cole and Anna Sinclair had escalated to an unbearable level. Anna had arrived earlier that evening at Benjamin's insistence, despite her growing reluctance to maintain their secret relationship. The two had been engaged in a series of tense exchanges over the past week, with Anna increasingly asserting her desire to end things and Benjamin refusing to let go. Witnesses later reported seeing Anna enter the building looking tense and uneasy, clutching a leather bag tightly. Surveillance footage from the elevator showed her taking slow, hesitant steps, her body language conveying dread. Meanwhile, Benjamin, in his usual polished attire, had been seen earlier that evening pacing in his apartment balcony, speaking animatedly on his phone. At 9:12 p.m., the argument reached its breaking point. Anna accused Benjamin of manipulating her, of promising opportunities and mentorship that never materialized, all while trapping her in a toxic relationship. Benjamin, in turn, accused Anna of betrayal and using him for personal gain. The shouting grew louder, and neighbors reported hearing a crash, followed by the sound of shattering glass. By 9:15 p.m., the altercation had turned physical. A coffee table lay overturned, its glass top smashed. Chairs were upended, and decorative items were scattered across the plush carpet. Anna attempted to leave, but Benjamin blocked her path, his voice rising as he demanded answers and explanations. In her desperation, Anna reached for a heavy lamp, holding it defensively as Benjamin approached. The confrontation spiraled into chaos. Accounts pieced together later suggested that Anna swung the lamp in self-defense, striking Benjamin and causing him to stumble backward. He fell awkwardly, hitting his head against the corner of a marble countertop. Blood pooled quickly beneath him, his body motionless. Panic set in. Anna froze, staring at Benjamin's lifeless form. The sharp contrast between the chaos in the room and the eerie stillness of his body left her paralyzed. After a few moments, she dropped the lamp and frantically reached for her phone, dialing 911. At 9:21 p.m., the call came through to emergency services. Anna's voice was shaking, almost incoherent as she explained, "It was an accident. He's not moving. Please, send someone quickly." The dispatcher tried to calm her, urging her to check for a pulse and provide details. Anna followed the instructions, her trembling hands pressing against Benjamin's neck, but she found no sign of life. Police and paramedics arrived within minutes, their flashing lights casting ominous shadows against the sleek facade of the Riverview Apartments. Anna met them at the door, her hands blood-stained and her face pale. "I didn't mean to," she began, but the officers quickly separated her from the scene. Inside Unit 302, first responders found Benjamin unresponsive. The blood spatter and the overturned furniture painted a grim picture. Detective Michael Reyes, the first investigator on the scene, immediately noted the signs of a violent struggle. "This wasn't just a fall," he would later tell reporters. "There was something much more deliberate at play." Anna was taken into custody for questioning, her distraught state complicating the process. She repeatedly insisted that it had been an accident, that she had only acted in self-defense. But as officers surveyed the scene and collected evidence, questions began to arise. Was this truly a moment of desperation, or was there more to Anna's actions than she let on? As the apartment was cordoned off and evidence collected, the building's residents gathered in hushed groups outside, speculating about the events that had unfolded. To those who knew Benjamin, the idea of violence seemed unimaginable. To those who had worked alongside Anna, the thought of her being involved in such an incident was equally shocking. By midnight, the crime scene had been processed and Anna was formally charged with manslaughter. The case, however, was far from simple. For investigators, the real work was just beginning. Every shattered glass shard and bloodstain hinted at a story yet to be uncovered, a story of power, manipulation, and a relationship that had gone tragically wrong. The investigation into Benjamin Cole's death began immediately after police arrived at the scene. Detectives worked tirelessly to piece together what had happened in Unit 302 on that fateful evening. While the initial evidence pointed toward a domestic altercation turned deadly, the complexity of the relationship between Anna Sinclair and Benjamin meant there was more to uncover than met the eye. Detectives Michael Reyes and Lauren Parker, both seasoned investigators, took charge of the case. The scene inside Benjamin's apartment offered a wealth of clues. The shattered coffee table, the bloodstains, and the heavy lamp all pointed to a violent confrontation. However, the investigators noted inconsistencies in Anna's claim of self-defense. Forensic analysis revealed that Benjamin had suffered two distinct injuries, one from the lamp strike and another from the fall against the countertop. The angle of the injuries raised questions. "The force of the blow suggests more than just panic," said Detective Reyes. "It looks deliberate." Blood spatter analysis further complicated Anna's story. The pattern suggested that Benjamin had been struck more than once, contradicting her claim of a single defensive action. Additionally, the overturned furniture appeared staged. It hinted at an attempt to make the scene look more chaotic than it may have been. Detectives began interviewing neighbors to corroborate Anna's account. Several residents reported hearing shouting that evening, but one neighbor, Jessica Lambert, claimed she heard a male voice yelling threats moments before the crash. "It sounded like he was furious," Jessica told detectives, "but then it got quiet, too quiet." Another neighbor provided a critical lead. Surveillance footage from the building's security cameras showed Anna entering the apartment complex earlier that evening, visibly tense. The footage also revealed something unexpected. Tyler Grayson, a private investigator hired by Benjamin, had been seen visiting the building 2 days before the incident. His presence raised suspicions about whether Benjamin had been looking into Anna's past. As investigators dug deeper into Benjamin's life, they uncovered a pattern of controlling and manipulative behavior. Former colleagues described him as a man who thrived on power dynamics, both professionally and personally. One co-worker, Rebecca Hargrove, revealed that Benjamin had a history of pursuing relationships with younger women in his office. "He was charming, but there was always an imbalance," Rebecca said. "He liked being in control." Records from Benjamin's personal laptop revealed troubling details about his relationship with Anna. Emails and text messages painted a picture of a man who used his position to exert influence over her. In one email, Benjamin wrote, "You owe me for where you are. Don't forget that." The investigation also uncovered that Benjamin had threatened to expose their affair to the company's HR department after Anna attempted to end the relationship. A text message sent 2 days before his death read, "If you think you can walk away without consequences, you're wrong." This revelation cast doubt on Benjamin's role as the victim and suggested that Anna may have been under immense pressure. During her initial interrogation, Anna was visibly shaken, repeatedly stating that she had acted in self-defense. However, her story contained gaps. When pressed about the extent of the confrontation, Anna hesitated. "He wouldn't let me leave," she said. "He grabbed me, and I panicked." Detective Parker, known for her empathetic approach, took the lead in questioning Anna. Through hours of careful dialogue, Anna began to reveal more about her relationship with Benjamin. She described how he had initially supported her career aspirations but gradually became possessive and demanding. "He controlled everything, my schedule, my friendships. I felt trapped," Anna explained. Anna also disclosed a key detail. Benjamin had confronted her that evening with allegations of infidelity, accusing her of seeing someone else. He had hired the private investigator, Tyler Grayson, to follow her. The discovery of this surveillance further strained an already volatile situation, pushing their confrontation to a breaking point. When detectives brought in Tyler Grayson for questioning, he admitted to conducting surveillance on Anna but denied any involvement in the incident. "Benjamin hired me to dig into her background," Tyler said. He wanted to know if she was hiding anything. Grayson's findings added a surprising twist. He revealed that Anna had been in a previous abusive relationship, which she had carefully hidden from her professional life. Grayson's report also noted financial struggles, which Benjamin may have used to manipulate her. These revelations painted a fuller picture of Anna's vulnerability and the power imbalance in her relationship with Benjamin. As evidence mounted, the investigation took a new direction. Forensic analysis of Anna's clothing revealed defensive wounds consistent with her claim that Benjamin had grabbed her during their altercation. However, the staged appearance of the crime scene and the inconsistencies in her timeline remained troubling. Detective Reyes was skeptical. Her actions after the fact suggest she was trying to control the narrative, he said. Detective Parker, on the other hand, believed Anna's account of feeling threatened, arguing that her panic could explain the inconsistencies. "This isn't black and white," Parker said. "She was scared, and people do irrational things in fear." The final piece of evidence came from Anna's phone. Investigators discovered a voice memo she had recorded during the argument. In the recording, Benjamin's voice could be heard yelling, "You'll regret this, Anna. You owe me everything." The memo ended abruptly, followed by a crash. With the evidence collected, detectives presented their findings to the district attorney. The case against Anna was complex. While the physical evidence suggested she had struck Benjamin with excessive force, the voice recording and her history with him supported her claims of coercion and fear. Detectives Reyes and Parker concluded their investigation with conflicting opinions. Reyes believed Anna's actions were premeditated, driven by frustration and anger. Parker, however, argued that Benjamin's manipulation and threats created a scenario where Anna felt she had no choice. The stage was now set for a trial that would test the boundaries between self-defense and culpability, leaving the jury to decide whether Anna Sinclair was a victim pushed to her breaking point or a perpetrator who crossed the line. The trial was shaping up to be a straightforward case of self-defense versus manslaughter, but a shocking discovery during the investigation added an unexpected twist that changed the entire narrative. As the prosecution and defense prepared their cases, detectives re-examined evidence related to Tyler Grayson, the private investigator Benjamin had hired. Initially dismissed as a peripheral figure, Tyler's name surfaced again when prosecutors subpoenaed his communications with Benjamin. What they found raised suspicions. A series of encrypted messages exchanged between Tyler and an unknown contact. The content of these messages suggested a deeper level of involvement than previously believed. One message read, "She won't see it coming. Just make sure he's there alone." Another cryptic text stated, "This will end her leverage. We both win." Detectives immediately sought Tyler for further questioning. Under pressure, Tyler revealed a startling admission. Benjamin had asked him not only to investigate Anna's past, but also to plant evidence that could incriminate her if their relationship ended badly. Tyler claimed he refused to participate but admitted to passing along personal information about Anna that Benjamin used to intimidate her. The defense used this revelation to argue that Benjamin's actions created a hostile environment that justified Anna's fear. However, prosecutors countered that this information, while damning for Benjamin's character, did not exonerate Anna's actions. During a reevaluation of the crime scene, investigators uncovered a hidden compartment in Benjamin's desk. Inside, they found a leather-bound journal. To everyone's surprise, the journal was filled with detailed accounts of Benjamin's relationship with Anna, written in his own words. The entries painted a troubling picture. Benjamin described his growing obsession with controlling Anna, his anger at her attempts to distance herself, and his increasingly erratic behavior leading up to the incident. One chilling entry, written 2 days before his death, read, "She thinks she can walk away from me, but I'll make sure she pays for everything she's done. No one humiliates me." This journal not only corroborated Anna's claims of manipulation and fear, but also introduced a new layer to Benjamin's state of mind. It suggested that he had been spiraling into paranoia and rage, determined to maintain power over Anna at any cost. The most explosive twist came when Anna's defense team unveiled evidence they had withheld until the trial, a second voice memo recorded on Anna's phone. This recording, captured just moments before the fatal altercation, revealed Benjamin making veiled threats against her. "You think you can run from me?" his voice hissed. "You're mine, Anna. I made you, and I can destroy you." The recording ended with the sound of shattering glass and a scuffle, aligning with Anna's account of the events. This recording was a turning point. It provided a glimpse into the final moments of the argument and Benjamin's escalating aggression. The prosecution attempted to downplay its significance, arguing that the recording did not absolve Anna of her actions. However, the defense used it to paint a picture of a terrified woman acting in the heat of the moment to protect herself. Another revelation came during cross-examination. Prosecutors presented evidence that Anna had recently received a large sum of money from Benjamin, transferred to her bank account just weeks before his death. They argued that this payment suggested Anna had a financial motive for staying in the relationship despite her claims of fear and manipulation. Anna explained that the money was a severance payment Benjamin had promised her when she ended the relationship. "He wanted to keep me quiet," she testified. "He said it was to make up for everything, but I didn't want it." The financial transaction raised doubts in the minds of the jury. Was Anna a victim of coercion, or was she complicit in leveraging her relationship with Benjamin for personal gain? The final twist came when investigators traced Tyler Grayson's encrypted messages to an anonymous email account registered to Rebecca Hargrove, Benjamin's former co-worker. Rebecca, who had previously provided testimony about Benjamin's predatory behavior, was revealed to have had her own motivations for exposing him. She admitted to collaborating with Tyler to gather evidence against Benjamin, hoping to bring his misconduct to light. However, Rebecca denied any involvement in the events that led to his death. "I wanted him held accountable," she said, "but I never expected it to end like this." The cumulative weight of these discoveries shifted the dynamics of the case. The defense argued that Benjamin's pattern of manipulation and the threats he made on the night of his death supported Anna's claim of self-defense. The prosecution, however, insisted that Anna's actions went beyond what was necessary to protect herself, pointing to the staged crime scene and inconsistencies in her account. The shocking twists left the jury with a complex narrative to untangle. Was Anna a victim pushed to her breaking point? Or had she taken matters into her own hands in a calculated attempt to escape Benjamin's control? The trial now hinged on how these revelations would shape the jury's perception of Anna's intent and culpability. The courtroom was packed, every seat occupied by reporters, curious onlookers, and members of the Crestwood community drawn to the high-stakes trial of Anna Sinclair. As the judge entered, the tension in the air was palpable. Both the prosecution and defense were prepared for a battle that would determine not only Anna's fate, but how this story would be remembered. The prosecution opened with a sharp, clear narrative. Anna Sinclair was a manipulative young woman who used her relationship with Benjamin Cole to climb the corporate ladder, only to lash out violently when he threatened to expose her. They described Anna as someone who had motive, opportunity, and a plan. Her actions, they argued, were far from the panicked decisions of someone acting in self-defense. When the defense began their argument, the tone shifted dramatically. They painted a vivid picture of a young woman trapped in a dangerous dynamic with a powerful and manipulative man. Benjamin Cole, they argued, was not a victim but a perpetrator of emotional and psychological abuse, whose control over Anna had escalated to threats of professional and personal destruction. That night, Anna acted out of sheer terror, pushed to the brink by Benjamin's escalating aggression. The trial quickly became a gripping display of opposing narratives. Witnesses testified, some supporting the prosecution's claim that Anna was calculating and ambitious, others backing the defense's argument that Benjamin was volatile and controlling. Forensic experts detailed the injuries Benjamin sustained and the blood spatter patterns found in the apartment, while the defense countered with the voice recordings of Benjamin's threats, claiming they clearly demonstrated Anna's fear for her life. When Anna took the stand, The courtroom fell silent. Her voice wavered as she recounted the events of that night. She described how Benjamin had blocked her from leaving, how he had yelled that she would regret ending things, and how she had acted instinctively to protect herself. The cross-examination was brutal, with the prosecution pressing her on why she hadn't sought help sooner or ended the relationship definitively. Anna admitted her mistakes, saying, "I was scared of him, of losing my career, of everything falling apart, but I never wanted this to happen." Throughout the proceedings, the jury remained stoic, carefully observing the evidence presented. The prosecution highlighted the force of the blow that killed Benjamin and the inconsistencies in Anna's account, suggesting she had more control over the situation than she claimed. The defense, however, emphasized Benjamin's manipulative behavior, backed by the journal entries and testimony from colleagues who described him as a man who thrived on power and control. As closing arguments began, the prosecution urged the jury to see Anna's actions for what they truly were: deliberate violence. They argued that she could have left, that she had choices, and that she chose to kill Benjamin when he became inconvenient to her. The defense countered by reminding the jury of the evidence that demonstrated Anna's fear, the threats Benjamin had made, and the pattern of control he had exerted over her for months. They framed Anna's actions as those of a woman pushed to the edge, acting out of instinct and terror. After days of deliberation, the jury returned with their verdict. Anna Sinclair was found guilty of voluntary manslaughter, a lesser charge than the prosecution had sought. The judge sentenced her to 15 years in prison, with the possibility of parole after 10. In his closing remarks, the judge acknowledged the complexity of the case, saying, "This tragedy reflects the devastating consequences of a toxic relationship." While the court must hold Ms. Sinclair accountable, it also recognizes the deeply troubling circumstances that led to this act. The courtroom emptied slowly, leaving behind a lingering sense of unease. Some believed justice had been served, while others argued that Anna had been punished too harshly, or not harshly enough. The community remained divided, with the case sparking heated debates about workplace relationships, power imbalances, and the fine line between self-defense and culpability. Anna's final words at her sentencing echoed in the minds of those who had followed the trial. "I never wanted this. I only wanted to be free." As the gavel struck, the case of Anna Sinclair officially came to a close, but its impact would linger far beyond the courtroom walls. The trial had ended with a verdict of voluntary manslaughter, and Anna was sentenced to 15 years in prison, with the possibility of parole after 10. For some, the decision was a fair reflection of the complexities surrounding her actions. For others, it left lingering questions about justice, accountability, and the toxic dynamics that had led to the tragic outcome. The sentencing hearing was subdued compared to the dramatic trial. Anna appeared visibly drained but composed as the judge delivered his remarks. He acknowledged the conflicting narratives presented during the trial, stating, "This court recognizes the deeply troubling power imbalance and manipulation that shaped the events leading to this tragedy. However, the loss of life cannot be ignored, and accountability is essential." For the Cole family, the verdict was bittersweet. While they had sought a stronger conviction, they found solace in the fact that Benjamin's death had not been in vain. Outside the courthouse, Benjamin's brother, Christopher Cole, addressed the media. "This is not the justice we hoped for, but it is justice nonetheless. My brother's life mattered, and we will continue to honor his memory." Anna, meanwhile, expressed a mix of remorse and relief during her final statement. "I regret that it came to this. I wish I had found the courage to leave sooner, to take a different path. I never wanted this to happen, and I hope this serves as a lesson for others trapped in fear." The case sparked broader conversations about workplace dynamics and the hidden dangers of relationships formed under unequal power structures. Advocacy groups took up Anna's story as a cautionary tale, emphasizing the need for stronger protections for individuals in vulnerable situations. Discussions about coercive control, manipulation, and the psychological impact of toxic relationships gained momentum in both legal and social circles. For the Crestwood community, the trial became a defining moment. The once anonymous executive assistant and the powerful businessman had become symbols of a broader issue: the consequences of unchecked power and the human cost of ignoring warning signs. The story of Anna Sinclair and Benjamin Cole was a tragedy, not just for those directly involved, but for everyone who had failed to intervene before it was too late. As Anna began her prison sentence, she faced an uncertain future. But she carried with her the hope that one day she might rebuild her life. The memory of that fateful October night would remain, a constant reminder of the choices that had led her here, and the price of silence in the face of abuse. In the end, the case left an indelible mark on those who followed it. Was Anna a victim who acted out of desperation, or a perpetrator who went too far? The jury had rendered its verdict, but the story continued to spark debate. For those watching, it was a chilling reminder of how power, obsession, and fear can intertwine with deadly consequences.